everyone, welcome back to Wildwood Cottage and welcome back to Wales. It's lovely to have you here. Hope you're all doing well and I hope you're all having a good week. We are in the middle of a heat wave here in the UK and the last 2 days it's been a feels like temperature of 38 degrees. Now Wednesday and Thursday is forecast to be 41 degrees, feels like temperature. So I'm making all sorts of preparations to make sure my vegetables in my victory garden are going to get through the heat. So I thought I'd show you some of the things that I'm going to be doing to combat the water shortage that they'll be feeling and to stop them getting stressed out, because the last thing I want is my vegetables to get stressed and for me to lose the whole crop, the whole harvest. So I haven't got a lot growing, but I've got a few different things growing and I don't want to lose what I've got in the ground and what's doing really well. So I thought in this video I would show you me heat proofing the garden and getting it ready for the heat wave. I'm sure an awful lot of you are worried about how your plants are going to fare and whether you're going to lose everything. So I thought this might just be a good video for you to be able to combat the heat, take some little mitigating changes and be able to keep your plants by the end of it. So we're going to go down into the victory garden and we are going to water the plants and I'm going to do some mulching. I'm going to show you the screens that I've got up and I'm going to show you some of the ways in which I'm going to try and keep my plants going. So see you down in the victory garden. So the first place we're going to go is into this part of the garden, and this is what I call Gordon's garden. Now I've put this shade up and I watered it all last night and I put this shade up to try and keep down the sun, and the plants seem to have fared okay today. But I've been looking at my 1940s books and I've noticed a method called dust mulching. Now I want to give it a try. So the first thing I need to do is water this patch. So I'm going to try get in underneath my screen and just get in and water these plants. I've got sweet corn in there, I've got cabbages in there. So I'm going to water this patch and then in the morning we're going to come back and I'm going to show you how to dust mulch your garden completely free, just using the soil that you've got in the garden and using it as a free mulch. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to water the rhubarb patch. I'm going to give this a good water and then I'm going to go and gather some leaves from the path around the house from next door, and I'm going to completely fill this with leaf mulch, and that's going to keep down the moisture into the rhubarb and give it a good chance to start putting stalks out again. I took all the stalks off so that they didn't struggle in the heat. And my mesh is working well, it's keeping the chickens out. So I think if I put leaves down, then that's going to help keep the moisture in and help the plants not get too hot. In here, and this is my first polytunnel, the one that I built 3 years ago, which I bought off, I think it was Premier Polytunnels or First Tunnels. I've put this greenhouse shading up, it's plant shading, and that's just to break down the UV rays in here and help the plants so that they don't struggle. As you can see, the tomatoes are doing really well. They've fared really well in here. So I'm hoping that this screen is going to help when we get the really hot temperatures on Wednesday and Thursday. So that's another thing I've done, is put screening up, shading up in the polytunnel, in the big polytunnel. Now, if you haven't got any greenhouse shading, you could use sheets, you could use netting, anything really that will just go across the top. You could put it over the beds, but I don't want to crush my tomatoes. So what I've done is I put string up, I've attached it between the posts, and then I've just draped this over. I mean, you could use fabric if you've got some old fabric you don't want, any old quilts, anything like that. Just put it across just to block the light. You don't want to block the light, you want to block the UV rays and stop it being too strong and scorching your plants. So you can use anything, absolutely anything. I've had this for 20 years. It's full of holes, but it's going to do the trick. Right, this is my cauliflower bed and I've watered it already. It's got watered it this morning, so I might water it again now, and then I'm going to put leaves over the soil just to keep the moisture in and to help the plants to retain the moisture instead of drying the roots out. I'm also going to do the same in this one here, which is my sweet corn and my kale. And I'm also going to do the same with this one as well. Again, this is the greenhouse shading that I've got in the polytunnel. And as you can see, I watered this last night and the water is still on the compost. So all I'm basically going to do is put leaves down and let the leaves do the job that they're supposed to do. So I've been and gathered leaves from next door. And that's basically all I'm going to do. I know that they've not rotted down, but all I want it to do is just to hold the moisture in. Make sure your plants can poke out, you don't want to crush them. But you just want to hold that moisture in. There we go. So that's going to work on that. And then I'm going to do the same in this bed as well. Take the sticks out, you don't want them. So this is my newest addition polytunnel that I built earlier, about last month I think. And I built it out of fence posts, plastic that you get for polytunnels, some corrugated iron, which I'm hoping that that's going to retain the heat in the winter. I mean, I can grow stuff in here through the winter. And I put this shading up in here as well, again just to break up the UV rays. And as you can see, my plants at the moment are doing really well. So I use these big buckets, and what I do is I cut the bottoms out and I put this on the soil, and then I put the tomatoes in, put the compost in, keep filling it up with compost, and then I just put the water directly into there, so it goes directly into the root of the plants, and I'm not wasting any water. So I'm going to do the same with my other polytunnel and the tomatoes that are in the other polytunnel. So I'll show you how I do the pots when I get to it. But as you can see, it seems to be working, and the shading is working as well. So we had a discussion in the comments about Comfrey and how to use it and whether you can move it. And the upshot was that if it sets seed here, then don't put it on your garden if that's how it spreads. But if it spreads from the roots, if you've planted it somewhere, don't move it, leave it where it is, because it will spread everywhere. But you can use it as a mulch around your plants. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the seed heads off. I'm going to take them off and I'm going to compost them in some water to make some comfrey tea. And then the rest of it I'm going to chop up with some shears, and then I'm going to put that down on my potatoes. And then I'm going to water it, and then as it breaks down, it's just going to put potash into the potatoes and break down the soil. So, and then it'll eventually turn to soil as well, and the potatoes should grow really, really well. So I'm going to chop it up, and I'm going to, when I plant my new potatoes over in the other garden, I'm going to put this as a mulch over the top once it's been watered, and that'll hold in the moisture. And then what I'll do is I'll deep lister it as well with grass clippings over the top, and that'll just keep the moisture in and also help the potatoes and feed the potatoes at the same time. So in this part of the garden that goes down the side of the two polytunnels, I've got this screening. Now what I'm finding is this screen is actually breaking up the sun's rays on this patch here. It keeps it in the shade in the afternoon, and as you can see, these plants don't seem to be struggling at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put leaves down on here as well, so that the little plants can get through, and yeah, that should just keep the moisture in here as well. But they don't seem to be struggling, they seem to be doing very well. In fact, they seem to be doing too well, because the mustard has gone to seed and I didn't want it to. Wow, that's strong. But yeah, this part of the garden seems to be doing okay. So I'm pretty happy to leave it, but I am going to cut the top off that comfrey, and I'm going to use that as well. Gosh, that's strong. Now this is the bed I'm going to do the dust mulch, and what it says to do is to water it until you get 1 or 2 inches of really wet soil. So that's what I'm doing now. I've got my onions in here, they're at the end there, they're the ones I did from seed. And then these are my cabbages, they're greyhound. And then I've got some more onions here. And then these are my sweet corn. Now you're best off watering at the base of the plants. And hold the hose pipe there for a bit, go to the next one, and then go back. And as you can see, the water disappears, and you can see that the water's going down then. Do that on each of your plants. You see the water disappear? And that's just basically the water going right into the soil. I'm just going to do this on each one, and then in the morning I'm going to come back and we're going to do the dust mulch. Because I'm not going to sow any seeds in here, I'm going to plant squash in here, and then they're going to grow in between the sweet corn. Right, okay, so it's the next day and I've come out to do the hoeing part of my dust mulch. So I just thought I'd show you what I'm doing, and then you can have a go. I haven't done this before, so I'm not sure if it's going to work, but I thought it was worth a try with everything that's going on with the heat, to see if I can keep down the moisture and use the dust as a top dressing over where I've watered. So I'm just going to turn you around and we'll have a look together. So I've got myself a handy dandy hand hoe, and I've also got myself a long hoe as well. So I thought I'd have a go at both really. So it says you just lightly go over the surface of the soil like that, not moving it too much, but enough just to break up the structure, just as if you're hoeing the soil. And it says that what that does is it breaks up the structure of the soil to stop the roots drying out, and just acts as a loose mulch over the top. So you're just basically loosening the soil so that'll dry out, and then that'll hold the moisture underneath. But it's also a good way to keep down on your weeds. As you can see, the canopy's doing a really good job on its own. This is just going to help to keep that moisture in that I put on yesterday, and then act as a dust mulch when it dries out on the top. So you don't want to go down too deep because you don't want to spoil all the watering that you've done. But when this loose stuff dries, it'll just keep the moisture in that you've already done in your soil. But you just want to break up that surface so it doesn't dry out underneath. So that's all I'm going to do with that. You could use the hand hoe, and it basically works the same way, but it just means that you've got more control, especially around tender things like my onions. Just means I've got a little bit more control. And the book says that when that dries, keep the moisture in underneath. So hopefully that's going to work. Right, so we'll leave that and we'll see how they get on, and I'll come back to you at the weekend and let you know how it went. Right, so I think that's it for me for today. I just thought you might like to see some of the things that I'm doing to combat the heat and to keep my plants alive and keep my plants cool. I hope you're going to have a go of the dust mulching, because I haven't heard of it before. And it is an old 1940s technique of keeping the soil moist and helping the plants not to dry out. So I'm hoping it's going to work in this heat. So I do hope you give that a try, and I hope that you enjoyed all the different techniques I'm taking, different things I'm going to do to keep the heat off my plants and hopefully get my vegetables through to the other side at the weekend. So I'll come back on Sunday and let you know how everything got on. And we're going to be doing some make do and mend on Sunday. We're going to be making a water feature for the new vegetable garden from something that my brother bought for me for Christmas a couple of years ago. So we're going to be doing that on Sunday, and Sundays we're going to be doing a little bit more make and mend, because the following Sunday we're going to be making bunting for the pantry, and next Wednesday we've got an update of my pantry revamp. So I hope you're going to stay tuned for those things. If you don't want to miss anything, do subscribe, do hit that bell. That'll tell you when I'm uploading new videos, and you can keep up to date with everything that's happening here at Wildwood Cottage. It's a very busy time of year for me here, and there's an awful lot going on, and I'm trying to share as much of it with you as possible so you can see what I'm up to and how you can use some of the things I'm doing in your own garden and in your own kitchen. So I think that's it from me for today. I'm going to go. I'm tired. I need to finish watering. I need to finish mulching, and it's about 8:30 in the evening. So I'm going to go. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you soon. Take care. Bye for now. Bye bye.